Hi all, welcome back to the shed. Just a quick little video. I've been asked to make some architraves for a client, which is very simple. They had architraves fitted by somebody else, made a mess of the plasterwork, wasn't really what the client wanted. So they've asked me to make them some very basic, quite square edged architraves in keeping with the rest of the house. They like quite a modern look. And it's a nice simple job. The most difficult bit about the job is repeatability. Track saw, for setting your distance for the track saw, we're cutting on the waist side, so we need to make sure that every single piece is as close as we can get it to identical, so that when we cut the miters, they meet up. If one's slightly wider than the next one, when you come to cut your mitre, the corners, you'll either get it right on the corners and it'll be wrong on the outer edge. It just won't marry in. So this is something I used to really struggle with, is getting that repeat distance. Now we've got a full 24/40 sheet, so an 8-foot sheet. I use Mafell track saw, so by the time I've got these two tracks together, it's quite a long length. It's a lovely system with the Mafell, the way that the bar joins the two tracks, but you still need to check right the way across the length. Now, because this has had quite a bit of use, the rubber on the tracks has got just wear, so it's not as square as what it was when I bought the track. So for me, rather than measuring as I usually would against the rubber, I prefer to go against the aluminium of the track. So where I'm doing quite a few cuts exactly the same, I find it easy just to make a jig. There's no adjustment in it. It doesn't matter if I break it, it doesn't matter if you've never got enough of these, it doesn't matter if I need to alter the distance on this. I set my first one, get it to where I want it, make the form, and I can just use that then and run off as many lengths as I need to. Now on this job, this is the end of it now, but ultimately we've gone through 3 sheets of this, so ran quite a few lengths off, and without doing this sort of jig, there's no way on earth we would have kept the continuity throughout all of them. So I'll just very quickly show you how I put this together. It's something you can do on the job, something you can do on site. If you set these up, always worth keeping, you never know when you might need them again. Equally, the client might ask you to do more, or you might need to go back and do repairs, and it's just made out of scraps. Okay, the way that this works is very simple. I've got my sheet of MDF that I'm going to be using for cutting. I'll have a piece that butts up against that. This is just 6mm offcut of MDF, which happens to be flush with the top of the Mafell track. It gives me a little bit, just a tiny touch over. I don't know if you'll pick that up on the camera, but it just rides over and just catches the lip at the back. Like I say, I trust this back lip a heck of a lot more than I trust the rubber strip. If you're doing a cut on if you're keeping the piece that's under the track, which is ultimately what they're designed to do, there's no harm in using the same system but coming up against the back of the rail. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the piece of 6mm, just roughly. It doesn't really matter where, so long as this edge is square to this edge, we're fine. So we're going to cut the piece of 6mm. We're going to do an equal cut, sit one on top of the MDF that you're using to butt up against your piece, and we're going to leave one loose against the top, and then again with the same offcut we're going to cut another piece that's going to act as a bridge between the two. Glue it, screw it, however you want to fix it, as long as it's fixed in place and this edge and the edge that comes across here, a parallel, you're fine. Sorry, I said 18, yeah, 18 mil, sorry, but yeah, it'll be coming up to the backstop here. So there's no magic numbers with this. So I'm just marking these at 70 mil. So I'll just set my stops to that. Cut them on the chop saw. The distance from this to the back of the rail, so long as I've got enough that goes over the tube, I'm fine. The architrave that I'm making is 80 mil plus the kerf of the blade, so with the Mafell allow for 82 and a little bit of wear. So the track itself will sit roughly there, which gives me a measurement across between the two. So long as I'm anywhere above 200 mil, I'm fine. Being realistic, I want that being sort of 270 to take me up to the back of this, and away we go. Okay, so just literally cut these on the chop saw. Again, nothing fancy, there's no magic numbers. I just made sure that that piece had a parallel cut, which has got basically a spacer, its corresponding spacer, and then the piece to go across the top, which will sit between the back of the rail and sit squarely on them. Then once that's all fixed together, bit of mitre bond, couple of screws, that will be exactly the same spacing now, no matter where I put it. So I'll just quickly bash this together and job done. Okay, so on here, the pencil line just corresponds in the distance from that back rib to the front of the rubber. On the Mafell track, we're looking at a distance approximately, what's that, 109 mil, there or thereabouts. So show you that there so you can see how it's going to sit. So that'll be the spacer, so that'll be the spacer that rides on the board. That'll be the spacer at the back, and that'll basically be the block that's running parallel to that along the edge of the workpiece. Okay, this is just a they're just set on a scrap just so it doesn't matter if I drill through. Just a couple of clearance holes. So the whole point with this is you're not making a piece of furniture, it's just something quick and simple for on site. Okay, I'm only popping one screw in for now. You'll see why in a second. super glue, just making sure that I stay this side of that line. And then the reason I left that second screw out is purely so I can square it up with an edge. Again, the important thing with this is all we're trying to do is get repeatability. Because quite often, even if it's not millimetre perfect, but everything's the same, they're all the same, you can get away with quite a lot. Okay, nice simple jig. Nice and easy to use, no matter where I put that against the track now. I can push hard up to it and get the same spacing all the way down. And it doesn't matter how long the workpiece, it'll always be the same and stay true to that edge. Okay, so we've got our rails, got a block. There we go. So I don't know if you can see that. Nice and level all the way down. Looks like the saw needs a bit of a service, but nice clean cuts. More importantly, consistent. So now we can get on and just route the beveled edge, and that's the architraves done. You can always trim it down should you need to, make them oversized, sneak up on your measurements, get it to where you want it. It's just a simple on-site fix. Anyway, hope it helps. See you soon.